How have you been, my fascinating Renaissance friends? What if our greatest wounds are not punishments, but doors? Huh? Great question, deep question. What if our greatest wounds are not punishments, okay? Are not really suffering, but doors. Rumi, RUMI, the 13th century mystic, Sufi mystic poet, shows us in his work, in his poetry, that pain is the greatest path to the light. Yeah? This is episode 132 in our continuing series this month of October, where we are taking out literature from the classroom. Again, from simply a subject that we need to pass, okay? Not just words, old words written on a page, but really timeless truths for living gracefully, wisely, and elegantly. Now we've started with Shakespeare, followed by Jane Austen, and now, okay, with Rumi. So Rumi is a 13th century mystic poet. Okay, Sufi was born in a place now known as Afghanistan. And his original verses were written in Persian, in the Persian language, translated in so many languages. Okay, why? Because he talked about, his words, his poems actually are what we call timeless. Okay, they speak of divine love, of a longing, and the soul's union with God. Okay, his poetry transcends religion. It transcends time, inviting us into the what? Spirituality of our heart. Okay? In his many poems, okay, I chose one quote which really stuck to my heart. And this is what he said. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Profound, isn't it? Let me repeat that. The wound is the place where the light enters you. I guess where you are most hurt, okay, or where you are hurt the most, that gives you the greatest illumination. All right, so let's unpack that. Without so much bearing my soul to all of you in social media. There's so many hurts, okay, that I've experienced in my life because, I am now living the autumn of my life. Don't tell me I only have one or two or three disappointments or wounds. There are many. But there are wounds that tear so deeply that it can change a person for better or worse. Really, for better or worse. They could simply shut off beautiful, wonderful things which could happen in the future because of a past wound that seared the heart and the soul so deeply that they cannot move on, that they cannot get out of the pit. I think I've told you this in the last 6, 7 episodes when I talked about philosophy, not just an arcane or an esoteric subject in school, and only a few people, would be majoring in them. But really, it is a way of life, of being guided to a better life, to living the greatest life of all for us, the autumn of our life, Well, I remember telling you that my first marriage was anything but happily ever after. There were many factors involved. Some not of my choice, not of my choice. Okay, a few, could be considered part of my rebellion. All right, but whatever it is, it was really the greatest wound that I consider suffering from, to the point that I didn't want ever to get married, so I shunned marriage like the plague. Okay, but I was open to relationships, but those relationships, again, from the beginning, now that I thought about it, not only I thought about it, it was doomed from the very beginning. Why? Because the wound would always, tell my inner critic that, you've been through this, Malu. You've fallen in love, you've given all, you've sacrificed, and yet this is what you got, just pain and sorrow. Okay, you are still going to go through this. And so the relationship would sour as early as 3 years, and I would give up. And I told you also, okay, yeah, I told you that in September, our anniversary, season, 42 years of being together. All right, and 42. So 17 years of those 42, we have just been living together because of my trauma of marriage, and 25 years of that, as a married couple, because we got married in year 2000. What happened, Malu? Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. 17 years that I would dodge, the idea of being married again, simply because of that wound. You see? But then again, it says here, the greatest, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Where it hurt the most, it was the greatest illumination. That it's not about the institution of marriage. In fact, that is our saving grace. The institution of marriage, is not really a prison that I used to think. And the how do you call that? And the wound is not about the institution. It's about two imperfect people, trying to work out a highly ridiculous, expectation, set of expectations. I thought marriage will save me from a strict upbringing. Maybe it will give me the freedom, to be away from a strict upbringing, then it became a greater prison, because again, getting married, after 28 days of going out, I guess is such the most stupid thing somebody could have made, which I made. Okay. So it's not about that. I guess it's about two mature people bringing together the commitment to work out, a forever relationship, accepting each other's strengths as well as weak points, and allowing each other to be changed by the other. Basically, the lesson that we have learned, from last episode's last episode's novel by Jane Austen, isn't it? It's being open. It's removing what? Removing the pride, removing the prejudice, and just being humble, okay, to be healed and being open to a new realm of possibilities. Okay? And that's exactly, I thought the wound, you know, I thought the wound is suffering. I thought the wound is punishment for being a rebellious daughter. It's not. It's a door. And it says the wound is the place where the light enters you. You begin to do what? You begin to do soul searching, reflection, okay, awareness. That's where it all starts. The transformation, okay, happens only, if we go that first step. And what opens that? It says the wound. It says the pain. You know what? Guys, I didn't realize. It just occurred to me right now, this instance. See, that's how I think. I chose these personages in literature because of what I've learned from them. But I never thought that they actually aligned. I'll tell you what. Okay, remember I started with episode 129 with Shakespeare, all worlds a stage, and we're simply playing roles. Okay, and we write the script, we play the part. Its role would change. Basically, yeah, that includes what? That includes challenges and joys and etc. And we have to what? Reinvent. We have to transcend because every season, whether hurtful or not, has its own dignity, has its own courage, has its own grace. That's the message. And then we went to episode 130, and that is Jane Austen. That's what we said, isn't it? Humility, versus pride and prejudice. Okay, all right. You see the alignment here, okay. And then we had Tolstoy. Okay, with Tolstoy, it says here, death is the greatest. It's the greatest teacher. It strips away all illusions so that this too shall pass, kind of thing. Yeah. Right. And now we're talking about Rumi saying the woods are the very path to light. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Okay, so let's see. Rumi's verses, okay, written in Persia, okay, talk about all of these things. And there's only one great lesson I can think of, and that is pain is not the end. It is transformation. I repeat, pain is not the end. It is transformation. It could either make us bitter, which means a life of regrets. If only I did this, if only. Or what if? Okay, it's illusion. We cannot return the past. Okay? It's either we become bitter, which is life of regrets, or better, which is a transformed life. Okay? There are only two ways to go, my friends. So in Rumi's world, every loss is a doorway. I agree with him. Every grief is a teacher. Okay? The question is, will we step through? The question is, shall we transcend? Shall we transcend? I have transcended the greatest wound inflicted on me, and I am not blaming anybody. Okay? I have made peace with God on whatever happened there. I made peace. And now I am, reaping the gifts of self-awareness, humility, and healing. So remember, my friends, remember, okay, literature is not just to be read, okay? It is to be lived. It should transform our lives and make us better people, especially in this autumn of our life. Okay, engage with me, guys. Engage with me. I will take a look at it. If you have questions, whether you agree or not, it doesn't really matter. Let's communicate. And according to Charlie Kirk, if we stop communicating, all right, then violence will enter the picture because we are different people. We need to agree to disagree and to disagree agreeably. Okay, I long for your comments, guys. I long for engagement with you. So don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue this journey to making literature a part of our life. Adieu.